Good morning and welcome to your favorite show, Be the Best You Can Be, on your number one hit music station, EBIS2. I am your dear brother in Christ, Ishmael Spesihle Kumalo. This is the time we get together as young people to interact, equip each other to be the best version of what God has set out for us to be and accomplish here on earth. We are here to spur you on so that you may one day stand before God and hear the words, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Young person at home, I bring you technical greetings from Nogutula Zabala, Mpumuzi Sitsebe, and Laki Dlamini. This is a youth show that seeks to empower, to minister hope, and to encourage young people, to equip young people to carry out their God-given assignment, to be distinct, walking in dominion and divine destiny as purposed by God. I know that's a mouthful, but in case you are wondering what we are about as a show, young person at home, in simple English, we exist as a show to see to it that you live a purpose-driven life as a young person. And sometimes it's unfortunate that as a church, we are so good at telling you that you need to live a purpose-driven life, but we rarely tell you how. We tell you you should, but we don't tell you how. So as a show, we want to make sure that in our existence, we help you understand and appreciate how to go about it. Because every young person has a plan and a purpose for which they were created, that they should fulfill, that they should live for. So we are here to help you understand that. We are not going to tell you what your purpose is, but we will help you once you've discovered your purpose to walk in your purpose. So yeah, and that's why we then come into studio and have conversations that will spur us on, have conversations that will help us achieve and attain the purposes for which we were created. So in today's show, young person at home, I want to challenge you to be used of God even in all spheres of life. Often at times we have interviews and bring people that come from all spheres of life. And today we're going to talk about the musical field, the gospel music industry. And in that, I hope that even if you're not a musician, you still have some incredible lessons that you can glean from this conversation. So I want to challenge you to sit down as per the norm, grab your notepad, grab your notebook, write down some notes, and maybe you're not a musician, but you definitely want to enjoy music, because I want to believe as Africans, we are gifted in the issue of enjoying music. We don't have two left feet, right? We can dance our way out into worship. That's why we have this thing called tomoye that I actually don't like, but anyway. But yeah, it's out there. We dance our way into music. The Black American Church is famous for its dances during worship. So in today's in today's episode, we're going to talk about that. So young person at home. So in today's show, it's a privilege and an honor to have a guest in studio with me, and we're going to discuss his life, his music, and his ministry. Dear kind sir, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself to the people that would not otherwise know who you are?
It is a pleasure, dear listeners, to be here with you this morning. My name is Wyclef Simelane, otherwise known in the music circles as Wyclef Sim. Basically, Wyclef Sim emanates from Wyclef Simelane.
Oh, because I was wondering, I know that Wyclef is British, but then the SIM, where does it come from? Did you want to be a mobile phone? Where was that coming from? But at least it makes sense now. Tell us about your musical background.
Yeah, basically, I am somebody that God has ordained and anointed for a time such as this, in as far as music is concerned. Basically, I am someone who has always had a passion for music from as way back as in my early years, when I was 10 years old, growing up, and I've actually experienced the touch of God and the move of God in my heart to do music as a production that can be distributed to various nations. So basically, yeah, I've always been doing music mostly as a praise and worship leader in my church and in various other circles. I'm at a point in a place now where I just want to launch and actually release music that can then be consumed globally in a global space.
Okay. You want to start releasing now, or have you released, or have you put out a project before? What's the story there?
Yeah, I've done some recordings before, but I couldn't get the release from God to release the stuff because I believe in timing, and I believe in particular in hearing from God in as far as my life is concerned, especially where my ministry is concerned. So I have done some stuff before, But in all the projects that I've done before, when it came to releasing, God did not release me to release.
After spending thousands and thousands of dollars on, or should I say rands in this case?
Yeah, definitely after some investments that had been done, but I still have that material, and it's definitely gonna be out there quite soon, and I know that it will be a blessing to whosoever that will get in touch with the stuff.
Talk to me about that, because you're not the first minister to speak of the issue of wanting to release something that was ready to go out there, but God saying not now. I think, what's his name? I Give Myself Away artist, the American guy, also speak of the same thing, to say he was ready, the album was done, the promotion was done, everything was done. It's just that when they had to press the play button, God was like, no.
Not yet.
Talk to us about that, because for those of us who are not musicians, or at least not gospel musicians, we don't get the point.
That's right. Yeah, you know, most of what we do relies heavily on hearing from God, because, I've actually had experiences myself with some artists or men of God in the ministry who will tell you that, that song, I released that song, but it was not time. And I feel like it was released much early. Actually, one of my mentors, Pastor Michael David, there's a song that he released, and he feels like, the impact of the song could have been felt more maybe at a later stage than the time that he released it. So it does happen that when you are somebody that hears from God in particular and derives, because this thing that we are doing is basically God-driven. So it's if God does not give the yes at that particular point in time, it does not mean it's not God-ordained or God-assigned, but it's just a question of timing. It's just a question of timing. And so when God says yes, I'm in a season, in a time in my life where I have had a resounding yes from God in as far as my ministry is concerned and in taking it out there. So basically that would be how I would put it.
A lot of you guys in the gospel industry, one of the criticism that is there against you as ministers of the gospel through music is that, yes, you sing, you have the voices and the talent, but really, do we see the personal and intimate relationship between you and God? We see you we see the performance on stage, but when we look and try to analyze and try to find God in all that, in all the theatrics, we really can find God. What's your response in that? Because it's a criticism that is coming from the church towards gospel musicians to say, yeah, they're performing, yeah, they've got a good voice, but I don't think they have met God.
That's right. It's very, very important to understand the very essence of what we do. Basically, even maybe that criticism it could actually be valid in as far as our brothers and sisters in the music industry is concerned. But I believe that there's a time that has come where God is now in a space and a place where we are forcing the hand of God to release a mighty revival that will fill the earth like a mountain. And I believe that some of those criticisms may be valid, but now I believe that God has opened a window whereby I believe that there's something different that's coming through. And because God has put an assignment in some of us, whereby in what we sing, we seek His face first. We desire to see God being involved and to be a part and at the center of everything that we're doing. And so, such that when we sing, just like David ministered in the presence of Saul, and the spirit that was tormenting Saul left him, we must find ourselves in a place where we don't just sing for the sake of singing or sing for the sake of just because the song is beautiful, the song is nice, the melody is good, but we must sing because God has put an assignment on us to sing. And so I believe that a time is coming and the time has come, whereby God himself will reveal himself through a song, that God himself will hide himself in our ministries, such that wheresoever that we are able to send the music, wherever it appears, it may appear as God himself in the lives of his people, in a sense that just like the fourth man in the fire, may God be found in our music, just like the cry is out there that our musicians, they may not necessarily be in a place and a space where they are bringing impact, but rather window dressing impact by just singing songs because they can sing. But now I believe a time is coming and a time has come whereby we are no more going to be window dressing impact, but we're going to sing because God has assigned for us to sing, and God is hiding himself in our ministries, just like the fourth man in the fire. He's appearing as the as a voice within a voice, as a sound within a sound.
For those of you guys who are listening to us from EBIS2, we're going to take a quick musical break just about now and listen to some of Wyclef Sim's music, and we hope that it will minister to you. And I do want to mention from the top of the show that he has a show that is coming up soon, and he will be giving us details about that towards the end of the show. So stick with us and make sure that you are part of that show. And the exciting news I will tell you now so that you stick around is that the show will be free. So you might as well just stick it out. And for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, I want to go, and we're going to put up a link to his music so that you can go and enjoy that music and be blessed right now. So for those of us who are listening to this on EBIS2, let's take a musical break and enjoy some of his music. Welcome back, young person at home. I hope that you enjoyed that beautiful rendition. And I'm going to ask Minister Wyclef Sim here to tell us about that song, what's the inspiration behind the song, and give us more details about the song.
Well, I'm a music writer. The song that you've just listened to is one of my writings. When I write music with a purpose, even though I cannot just credit the writing to me, because I hear. I don't write. I don't just write. I don't write lyrics and then there's a melody. For me, what comes first is the melody, and then I record and then write. So I hear from God most of the things that I write, and they are purposeful. I write music in different categories in terms of the ministry itself. Like this song that we've just listened to is a response to the altar. The song says, with my hands lifted up, with my heart open for you, Lord, I come at the altar of grace. Your amazing love I feel. Your amazing love I feel. So basically this is a song that could be playing for somebody in whatever situation. You can just lift up your hands and say, with my hands lifted up, with my heart open for you, Lord, I come to you, because God rejects no one that comes to him, because God is ever ready to receive anyone that says, Lord, I come to you, forgive me of my sins, be the Lord of my life and my Savior. So basically, I write music in different categories of ministry. This song is a response to the altar song. There's songs that I write which are a response to your personal altar now, whereby you are singing songs like, I'm thirsty for you, Lord. I am longing for you. I am hungry for you. Those are personal altar songs that you can take to your personal altar and begin to commune with God. There are songs which are warfare songs, which you can declare when you are in a situation to actually serve the devil with notice and eviction from your life through those songs, which are now commanding songs in terms of your life is concerned. I write music in different facets of life that address different situations that one can be facing.
Now, let's talk about collaborations. Either you as a backup vocalist or as a feature in someone else's song, or someone who's featured in some of the works and concerts and music ministry that you've done in the past.
Yeah, basically, in terms of the music that I've done, well, I have had the privilege just to work, not necessarily in recordings, but in shows with Pastor Michael David, an amazing minister in music and in the word. In South Africa, who basically is actually doing the most in terms of impacting the gospel music ministry. And so I've actually sat under his ministry just to learn, just to be impacted. And definitely a lot of what I am doing musically, I can attribute or credit it to his teachings in terms of what his music life journey. So basically, that would be the man that I would speak about in as far as that is concerned.
Are you planning? You speak of how Pastor David has poured into your life.
That's right.
How are you planning on pouring into upcoming artists or gospel musicians? I don't like to use gospel artists. I like to call them gospel ministers.
That's right.
How are you planning to do that in Eswatini in particular, given that you are Swazi?
That's right. Yeah, basically, right now I'm working with a number of artists, even locally. We are planning a show. And I can tell you now, it's going to be one of the most beautiful shows that Swaziland has ever seen. Basically, what is going to happen that night is that I'm going to do my recording live, and then I'm going to give the platform to our local artist in a way it has not been seen before in this land, because we basically are going to pitch them all on stage all at once, all on stage all at once, and they're gonna be ministering there. We are basically coining something beautiful for that night on the 11th of May, whereby our local artists will come up there as a voice in one to minister to God and to minister to his people. So basically, we are planning to do a number of things with our local people, because God has actually put it in my heart, to take the ministry or the gospel back to the streets, because a large percentage of the recorded ministry of Jesus Christ was not in the synagogues, but it was out there in the streets where people are. And I believe that God has put it in my heart that we need to take the gospel back to the streets. How are we going to do that? Music will be one of the most critical components of how we will be taking the gospel back to the streets where the people are. Because just like I've said, a large percentage of Jesus' ministries that is recorded. It was out there. In the streets where people are. So basically, to answer your question in brief, there's a lot we're going to do together as a collaboration with local music artists or ministers, and I know there's something that's about to break in this country. There's something that's about to break in this land.
One of the things that I'm speaking now as from a pastor's perspective to say, for those of us who are called to lead churches or campuses, often the cry that we have is that ministry can be lonely. You find yourself, God is using you in a mighty way, but really, do you have the people that you are doing life with that are helping you do well in what you are doing? So in your investing in, or should I ask, do you guys as musicians have that support within your circles to say, hey, outside, once you've ministered, because it's funny how in Isaiah, in 1 Kings, you see Elijah being used mightily by God, but immediately after that, he goes to cower and hide.
Yeah, that's right.
But we can avoid that by providing community. Do you guys have community?
Yeah, basically, one of the most important things, again, in as far as relationships and networks are concerned, is for us to be very deliberate in creating those kind of networks. Basically, because networks are the most valuable currency that one can possess. Because right here, especially in our days, one of the most important things is to know somebody, that knows somebody that knows somebody. It becomes very, very important. And therefore, also in ministry, that is a tool that is very, very important, to be deliberate about creating networks, and networks that can be relied upon, can be counted upon. And so basically, as musicians, again, we do try basically to actually network. And because one of the things that one of the most valued ministers in my life is Bishop Tudor Bismarck. Yeah, just like we have learned in geography, the higher you go, the colder it becomes. And Bishop says the higher you go, the lonelier it becomes. Yeah. You know why it's lonely? It's because sometimes God will call you out. God is in the habit of calling people out. So therefore, if you are being called out, sometimes you will find yourself in a space and a place where you are just by yourself. And sometimes you can just be against everybody, but as long as you are with God, it becomes very, very important, because God is always in the habit of calling people out.
Two things I want us to talk about before we move on to other topics. The issue of excellence and the issue of looking at ministry, especially gospel ministry. Gospel music ministry as a business. A lot of gospel artists really, if any, can read contracts and understand contracts. All of them are based, it's all gentlemen's agreements. And we've seen how that, unfortunately, does not allow them to leave an inheritance for their kids. If we were to go to secular music, we heard the story of Zahara.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
all the drama that revolved around that. Are you, as gospel artists, in a space now where you understand the business side of gospel music?
Well, I think we can never be in a place, in a space where you can give a resounding yes to that question. However, there is always room for more knowledge. There's always room to learn more. Unfortunately, the church as an institution, mostly it is based on you volunteering your services. You are there just to give. So sometimes the divide between the professional life of a musician and the ministry part of a musician, whereby, because ministry is all about giving, it's all about pouring out, and so basically normally there are blurred lines there in terms of are you just in ministry or you are in business. Yet if really you are to pursue excellence, then money must be involved, and at serious levels. So basically, because the kind of if you are looking for experts in any area, they will be costly, because they have invested for them to be there in a place where they can be called experts. And so basically now then it becomes the lines become blurred, because right there you do want to achieve excellence, which demands a lot of financial input, and again you do want to give, which also basically is the very essence of the call of a minister in the gospel. And so basically then to leave an inheritance for your children's children, it becomes a question of balance in terms of the volunteering your services, and then also being able to charge for the services that you actually are rendering.
Let's talk about a very uncomfortable topic here, and it also speaks to the concept of excellence and making sure that you get the best people for the job. When we go for gospel artist shows, what we normally get, and this is a blanket statement, may not be true for some people, but what we normally get is poor sound quality. You're getting feedback. People are not ready. We are told they're going to start at 4. The show starts at 7 p.m. And, there's just this, people are not taken seriously. The customer, let's call them the customer, the consumer of that content is not taken seriously and not given due diligence. Let's speak about the importance of excellence in doing whatever we are doing as gospel ministers.
That's right. It becomes very, very important again to be professional, because that's where the essence of everything is professionalism. Basically, unfortunately, sometimes you cannot separate between your professionalism and the culture that's there generally in a community. Because like you've just mentioned, you can announce a show to start at 4, but at 4 there's no one there because the culture is saying, people generally would say 4 for 7. You understand? So basically sometimes it's a question of adjusting to the norms as they are, because like if I can start recording a show at 4 because I said the show starts at 4 and there's hardly anyone in the audience, again it's not presenting a good picture for the entire production. So sometimes you would find that musicians have to wait to a point whereby they can say there's comfort in terms of the attendance as well. Talking about the sound and the feedback, again it comes back to the finances. People must understand that when we charging a fee for the entry, it's not because we are desirous of being rich or what, but because generally we have got to get the best sound system and we've got to get the best engineers for the sound system so that we have a perfect show going. So basically that's what I would say, that especially in the gospel music circles, it becomes very, very important to also align, because I was just being told that one of the, I'm not going to mention the show by name, one of the best festivals we have in the country, I was being told that the sound check starts on Monday and the show is happening by the weekend. But by Monday already the sound check is already underway. And so into the actual event. So you find that with our gospel music shows, we are still doing sound check by 4 p.m. The show is starting at 6. So you understand the levels now in terms of excellence.
Yeah, but I think for me, I would want to implore all our leaders in the Christian community. It doesn't augur well. If we want to attract, the reason we don't have a lot of business people in the church is because we are not business-minded. Mm-hmm. The reason we don't have a lot of business people in the church is because our performance and the things that we put out there don't speak to the level of excellence they are used to. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't attract. If we want to attract the people at top leadership echelons, then we should be willing to say, listen, I'm going to do the things that they are so used to attract them to come. So that's that. I want us to talk about the Response Foundation. For those of you who are on YouTube, they can see the match, and you're going to talk to us about that and talk to us also about the show. But before we do that, we're going to take a musical break yet again. And in this musical break, we're going to listen to some beautiful sound, and we're going to talk about what that sound is, where it's coming from, and all that on the other side of this. God bless. Enjoy this. Welcome back, young person at home. We just listened to a beautiful song right about there, and I hope that it was a blessing to you and it ministered to your soul. If you're not dancing, you're not lifting up your hands in worship and in praise, then I don't know what you were doing. But hey, it was a beautiful song. Tell us about that song that we just listened to. Who is that and what is that about?
Okay, this song basically has been done by Pastor Colin Maluleke. Basically the entire album for this Man of God, which was released late 2022, became like a conception point for me in terms of an album that I'm going to be doing on a recording that I'll be doing on the 11th of May, down at the Metropolitan Church in Manzini. Basically just listening throughout the album from song number 1 to song number last, it was just speaking to me. It was just a revival point for my spirit, such that there was an awakening that happened. And I believe, from hearing from this kind of a sound, I said to myself, whenever I'm doing anything, I am doing it with these guys. So the sound that you've just heard right now is a similar sound that you are going to experience on the 11th of May at the Metropolitan Church in Manzini. So basically, I'm inviting everybody to come there. Talking about the Response Foundation. The Response Foundation basically emanates from an assignment that God has given me in particular. Then I'm working with my team in terms of building up the Response Foundation. So the Response Foundation is a charity organization, because we believe that God has given us an assignment to go out into the world and to make disciples, of all nations. And so now the question becomes, sometimes you will go out there and preach to people, and then they will say, okay, thank you so much, I've received spiritually, but I am in need physically. So now that's the ministry of Jesus. If you are looking at the ministry of Jesus Christ, he was not only concerned about the spiritual aspect of the man, but his ministry was directed towards the total man, to address the total needs of the total man. Whereby there was a question of people being hungry, and Jesus had ministered to them for 3 days, and they were saying, the people now are hungry. Jesus did not say, let's send them home, send them away. He said, no, let's make a provision, let's provide. Yes. So right now, I'm in a space whereby I know that spiritually I'm covered in terms of ministering and hitting the spiritual man, infiltrating the spirit of a man, and capacitating the spirit of a man to respond to the things of God. But now we also have to reach out to the physical man now, because the physical man, Jesus says, I was hungry and you fed me. I was in prison and you visited me. Yeah. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink. So he says, you will ask me, when did I do all those things to you? He says, when you do it to the least of my brethren, you are doing it to me. So basically, ministry is not complete without the physical man being attended to as well. So the Response Foundation is there to also minister to the needs now of the physical man. So that's why with my team we are working to build up a foundation that will not only be able to address the spirit of a man, but also be able to address the soul of a man, which is the mind, because people are hurt out there. They need to be addressed in terms of their healing emotionally as well, and also healing physically. So the Response Foundation is to reach out now to the spirit, to the physical man.
We are running out of time, but I want us to talk, and that's a very noble thing, because one of the things that I've realized as a pastor as well is that a lot of times we come and we pitch tents and we speak to the people. Spiritually, they are fed, they respond, but they then find themselves falling by the wayside because I was living that dirty lifestyle and it was giving me money. But now that I've repented, I don't have bread on the table. And as a church, we need to take that aspect very seriously, and we applaud you for doing that. But let's talk about the show, where people can get to even hear more about the foundation. Where is the show? When is the show? How much is it at the gate? Who are some of the artists that we should anticipate seeing there shortly?
That's right. Yeah, basically we are at the Metropolitan Church on the 11th of May doing the Response, where we will be officially launching the Response Foundation as well. Entry shall be free of charge. However, we are reaching out to as many people as possible to say, please do give towards this, because we want to pull up one of the best shows in terms of the gospel music circles that this land has ever experienced. So we are inviting people to come through and give. We've got a platinum category, which is 1,000 rand. We've got a gold category, which is 500 rand. Then we've got a silver category, which is only 250 rand, or a Malangi Mangeni that you can give towards the Response Foundation. And so basically, because we want to reach to as many people as possible, we have opened the gates for everyone from all people groups to be able to attend this event. And we are raising partners who will help us to do that. You can also be a partner wherever that you are. God touching you, you can just partner with us, because we believe that God has given us a word for this nation. We believe God has given us a word for this generation. So we need to respond to that word by participating in the miracle that God is releasing in our days.
Socials, where do people reach you on social media?
On social media, I'm Wyclef Sim, which is WYCLEF. Then SIM. Wyclef Sim on Facebook, also on Twitter, and also on Instagram and TikTok.
Are you comfortable to share your contact details or contact details of any person that can give more information on the show?
Yes, definitely. You can email us at wyclefsim@gmail.com, and you can also contact us on 7613-5779. 7613-5779. That's exactly where you can also send your offering, by the way, for partnering with what God is doing in our lives.
Okay, if a pastor or a church, I know we're running out of time. If a pastor or a church wants to invite you before the show, can they do so?
We are very much open. I've got a Swaziland team that I'm working with in terms of our activations. Please do invite us to be at your church. We know it's not going to just be a commercial transaction, but it's going to be a point of impact for your church as well.
Okay, and let's remind our viewers and our listeners here, when is the show again?
The show is on the 11th of May at Metropolitan Church in Manzini, starting at 4 p.m. Transport will be available for all people groups back to their homes.
At a fee?
At a fee. The transport is at a fee. The entry into the event is very much free of charge.
Well, yes, young person at home, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you were blessed and you were ministered to. This is what we do to inspire hope, to help you live the best version of live the best possible life that you can live to the glory of God. So we hope and we pray that we will be seeing you on the 11th of May at the Metropolitan Church. Hey, listen, if we are not praising God and worshiping God, like a lot of young people are complaining that Christianity is not fun because we don't have these things, but they've been availed to us. So let's make sure that on the 11th, and I'm just checking my calendar here, it's on a Saturday. So we have no reason not to go. Let's go and let's celebrate. Let's have fun, healthy, clean fun in the presence of God. Let's come back from there, admonish, minister to, and encourage. Till we meet again, nakupenda sana. This is your dear brother in Christ, Ishmael, specifically Kumalo, saying, God bless.